In today's video, we're going to be focusing on a couple of unique scenarios, and I'd like your input, so please leave a comment in the comment section below as to what you would do in these scenarios. These are true stories, by the way. Scenario 1, you've been landed your dream job. Executive office calls you and says, hey, we have this department across the country we think you'd be great for. You're going to be replacing somebody who we thought was going to be really, really good at the job, and they are very good at the technical aspect of the job, but we're there for sales. We need sales to improve, and we think you're the person for the job. When you show up, the person that you thought was let go, whose place you were taking, is still there and has assigned you a cubicle outside his office. So he doesn't know what you're doing there, because as he looks at the report of this new hire that he's been given, your title is the exact same title as his. So when you show up, you think you're moving into the office, and he thinks he's getting support for his position. Then executive office calls you and says, oh, by the way, we haven't let him go. We're going to need you to do that. But as soon as you let him go, the job is yours, and you can run the facility the way you like because we believe in you. So what do you do in this situation? Please let me know. Here's another one. Let's say you have a child who is feeling rather ill. So what do? Was any dutiful parent? You take your child to the doctor, you hate to see them hurting. The doctor says, we need to operate right away. Your child has appendicitis and only has, we have to get in there. Doesn't have too much longer. What do? Okay, these are examples of what are called necessary evils. We are put in a very difficult situation, and we know the decision that we need to make is going to cause pain. But ultimately, in the long run, something good may be coming out of those scenarios in the long run. So in the first scenario, again, true story. Second scenario, also a true story. But how does that apply to the mortgage world or buying real estate? Well, think again about any stresses that we'd have in life. Another true story, and tell me what you'd do. Young man is extremely overweight, over 300 pounds. He decides that he wants to get into shape. So he has to structure his diet and exercise and start moving and get rid of his sedentary lifestyle. Are those bad things? Not necessarily. They're difficult things. Cheesy bread tastes really good, and celery and carrots are okay, but if you want to lose weight, you're going to need to diet and exercise. So even think about the home buying process. We may feel like we'd love to be in a home, right? Like going through an operation. I don't want to have appendicitis. I don't want to have to go through the pain of the operation. I just want my appendix taken out so I can move on. But the necessity the necessity is we need to have it removed. So it's a painful process. So I may want to go from renting to owning my own home, but we have to go through the process. It does take patience. It does take discipline. Imagine you're renting an apartment and you're paying your rent every month. To get into a nice apartment, there are some necessities. You have to put down a security deposit. You have to pay your rent every month. And at the end of your lease, you have the potential of your rent increasing. So what happens when you get your notice that your rent's going up $100, $200, $400 a month? Well, we can't afford this. If we owned our own home, our mortgage payment wouldn't go up. And while it's true, taxes and insurance will change, and that will happen over time. Your principal and interest don't change on a mortgage, as we all know. But what's the necessity involved? I want to build net worth for my family. Think about this. How many independently wealthy people rent? How many independently wealthy people own homes? See, owning a home is part of the wealth building process. So where the upper rich might even have things that gain equity and assets, like homes, which we can get, and some jewelry, some vehicles, and some works of art they can keep that just increase in value over time. So how do we get started on building net worth? Most of us do that by owning a home. So remember, in the mortgage business and in the home buying process, there's very few of us that ever went to bed at night as children dreaming of the day we could become real estate agents or mortgage lenders. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but think about that. We need a mortgage to buy a home. We need a qualified real estate agent to help us find the right home. We need qualified inspectors to make sure we're buying a home that's in good condition, because we also make decisions based on emotion. Most of our large decisions in life are based on how we feel, including buying our home. But how do you feel about getting a mortgage to buy your home? Again, it's a difficult process, but in the end, mortgage debt is what they call good debt. Because if you have a mortgage rate at, say, 5, 6, even 7%, the growth rate of your property over time is going to increase in value. So you're actually lending money on something that's going to grow, as opposed to what most Americans do these days is charge up a bunch of credit card debt at 20, 25, 26% on things that, well, they'll never get back if they sold, right? They'll never get the money back. So remember the strategy here on how things make you feel. So something might be what they call a regrettable necessity, like having to have your appendix removed, like having to make sure you make a difficult decision to get the dream job that you want, like having to be disciplined about your diet, like having to exercise to make things better for yourself. Having to get a mortgage, in most cases, is one of those things. The benefits of having a mortgage in the long run will benefit you and your family, your net worth. It's something you could even pass on to your children. You could use it for a stepping stone. You could buy an entry-level home, start gaining equity in that home right away, then sell that house and use that money to buy another home. Or, as you see a lot of people do, they use their home in a form of retirement. So they might have their 401k, they might have their IRA, but the growth in the equity of their home is something they also use for retirement. So remember, here at Taton Capital, we want to make the mortgage process and the home buying process as easy as possible. We know people just want to be in the home. We realize these wonderful people we work with are going through a very stressful time. Because for most people, home buying is the largest purchase you'll make in your lifetime. So if you're in that position where you're a first-time home buyer, trying to make the leap from renting to owning, remember, even if you're renting a place, you need to put down a security deposit. If we're going to buy a place, we can use that security deposit to put down on a new home. So remember, the home buying process is there for you to gain equity in your future. Here at Taton Capital, we want to help you with that. So please like, share, subscribe, and comment. I want to hear what you think about these types of scenarios and how we can make the mortgage process easier for you as we have to go through the disciplined process of making sure we have documentation, making sure we can underwrite your income, making sure we can underwrite the home of your dreams and get you into the home that you're going to love for the rest of your life, or get you into your first home as you move into others. As always, if it's time for you to buy a home, buy a home.